technical seminars are an Intertech production. For instructor-led .NET, Java, and XML courses, visit us at www.intertech.com.
Here, of course, is a calendar control with all those ridiculous dates on there. And then we can see this add load function. The one that we added as JavaScript is actually appearing as part of the page. And this is what I wanted to really show you, how we can programmatically add client-side script that's going to run with Ajax using the Ajax framework. Okay? I know there's ways we can just add JavaScript to a particular page off the page object. You can always just say register script. But this is a way of adding script that can be used with the Ajax framework. Okay? So there's that. Now, creating a simple ASP.NET Ajax control, one of the things you'll notice is that you'll create a class that inherits from script control. And if you take a look at the script control class, that actually inherits from web control, and it forces you to implement the iScript control interface, which requires you to have these two methods: get script descriptors and get script references. Get script descriptors, that's how you register your own properties, register your own enums and other types on the client and on the server side. The other one, get script references, is specifically how to just register the scripts for the client side that should be downloaded automatically. There's also a resource file, the resx, that's the XML version of a resource file, that ensures all your resources are contained within that custom control, that they're not external. They'll automatically be compiled in as an embedded resource. So for example, let's say I go over to Visual Studio and I create a brand new project. Right? New project. And inside of here, I get to choose wherever I'm going to create it. And I'm going to choose an Ajax server control. Here, of course, is the other one, the server control extender, if I want to extend an existing control. But if I just go ahead and choose to create an Ajax server control and click OK, notice what we're given here, guys. First off, we do have that class called Server Control 1. That's the default one that they've given us. And it does indeed inherit from script control. And if you just hit the F12 key, which is the same as going to definition, you can see that it does inherit from web control and requires us to have this iScript or implement iScript control. And that, of course, this interface here, if I hit F12 again, requires us to have these two methods here, get script descriptors and get script references. In other words, these two guys right here. Sure enough, right down here, the only thing that's in this control is this get script descriptors and get script references. And basically what you can do with this descriptor object, for example, if we wanted to go ahead and add our own custom properties, events, script property, add component property, add element property, we can take advantage of these methods to go ahead and programmatically do that. And then, of course, they're returned. Likewise, down here, you can go ahead and register your own custom JavaScript files. So for some reason you want to also include some other JavaScript files that are going to be doing Ajax programming with the framework, you can go ahead and include those right here. Notice here that we're returning a new script reference for client control 1. And that's this guy right here, right? This JavaScript file. And here's some basic source code that can help you get going with how do you set up the initialize event and the dispose event and their event handlers, right? One other file we do have is that resource file, and like I said, you can go ahead and add in whatever type of resource you want, whether it be a new string, an image, an icon, a text file, maybe an XML document. And remember, everything is going to be compiled directly into your given assembly because you made it as part of a resource, which is important. Now, this is a lot of code, and if you decide to create an Ajax custom control of this manner, it's going to be a lot of coding from scratch, and you better know what you're doing. It may be preferred that you find a working example and then base it off of that and make modifications to it. Now, the other type of control that we do have is, of course, our Ajax server control extender, and I'll go ahead and add that guy. And you notice he's almost identical as far as having the get script descriptors, get script references, and they do roughly the same thing. But keep in mind, the whole idea of an extender control is not to exist as a control itself, but to just modify the behavior of an existing control that it's going to attach to. Also notice that this guy inherits from extender control class. And if you go to definition there, he actually inherits directly from control, but requires you implement this specific interface, the iExtender control, which has basically those same two basic methods for get script descriptors. But note that the get script descriptors needs to know what your target control is. In other words, what control is this extender attached to? Right? So again, it's a little bit different, but it's still relatively similar as well. Now, one example I'd like to show you guys is if I go into the Ajax library beta. If you go into here and open up this beta samples solution, you can actually see a little bit more sample code that shows you how you can actually go ahead and register web server control, an Ajax custom web server control. Here we have a class called ImageView, and this control, of course, is just meant to display an image as an Ajax control. Notice how it's inheriting from script control. Scrolling down further, we do have some public properties here for data, data provider, fetch operation, fetch parameters, and auto fetch. Now down here, this is the stuff I wanted to show you. Here we have that get script descriptors method, and of course with this descriptor object, you can see how we're adding a script property. This is a property that's going to be declared on the client side, in other words. And then we have some other properties which are being declared automatically on the server side. And of course the new yield function, which is introduced with .NET 2.0, will automatically return them as it iterates through. It returns an enum for them. Down here, this one is still only registering one JavaScript file, ImageView. And that's exactly what this is returning. This guy down here. Now here we actually have some JavaScript or some client-side script that's going to be returned to the client. And notice how we're setting the inner HTML equal to this span tag if we're in browse mode, versus in template mode we're actually returning this inner HTML. Just showing you some different examples of what you can do, and if you download this Ajax beta library, you get all of this sample code that you can go ahead and play with and get a little more practice with working with. Creating a control, remember, don't start from scratch. Find any working example on the internet. If you go to www.asp.net, click on the Ajax tab, there's plenty of free tutorials that will actually help you understand how to create your own custom Ajax controls. There's also some walkthroughs on MSDN and even on that same site I just mentioned that you can go ahead and follow to create your own custom controls. Usually you're going to inherit from an existing web control, inheriting some functionality or some custom user interface, but it's certainly not required. Also keep in mind, creating an extender may be much easier and actually is preferred than creating a full-blown your own custom server control, because some of the UI is already going to be there. You're not recreating the wheel, you're just adding a little bit of extra custom behavior to an existing control. Now, an Ajax extender, I already showed you how to do that. Notice how they, of course, inherited from the extender control base.
For more free learning resources and to see the latest lineup of our instructor-led .NET, Java, and XML courses, visit us at www.intertech.com.